Hey everybody, I just saw Hotel Transylvania 3, and to give you a little recap on what I think of the other two films before it, I absolutely love them. I know they don't get the best reviews. I think they're hilarious. I think they're beautifully animated. I think the characters are great. I think they're creative. I think the comedy is super fast. I think it's super funny. I think they're really good movies in my opinion. Like, I know they're not like groundbreakers or anything like that. I mean, they're just straightforward comedies, but I mean, as Halloween straightforward comedies go, I think these are insanely funny, and you can take kids to them as well. And I can't go on more about how I love the first two movies. I watch them every Halloween. They always get me in the Halloween mood. I know a lot of other people do too. So I very much enjoy those first two films, and that brings us to this third one, released in summer. Where, there's a joke that Sandler kind of almost admitted to, that he makes movies kind of just to go on vacation. Like, it, again, whether or not he was joking about it or not, I mean, I open for debate, whatever. But there was always this joke that some of these movies are so bad because he's going on vacation. And here, it's an animated movie where they're going on a cruise, they're going on vacation. You don't need to. It's animated. You're not traveling anywhere. But that's something else. Maybe people just thought they wanted to get them out of the hotel, and again, they wanted a summer theme for some reason, even though, again, it's mostly at night, it's mostly in the dark. It's clearly a Halloween-ish movie, but whatever. So this movie is about the Hotel Transylvania characters going on a cruise, and of course, coming across all sorts of hijinks and terrible things trying to get them. And this one's not as good as the other two. I can't say it's bad, because there are still a lot of jokes that work and made me laugh, and I think you can still take kids to it fine, and there's not many moments where, like, I'm cringing or anything like that, but there were a couple. But again, one of the advantages of these movies is that the humor is so fast. So if a joke doesn't work, they quickly move on to the other one. So it's not something where they leave, like, a really long pause for the audience to laugh or anything like that, or if they did, it's not really memorable. It doesn't, like, leave an impact on you. But there's a few big problems with this movie. The first one is, I know the first two films don't have, like, every joke works, like I get that. There's some that don't work very well, but again, they just move on to the next one very quickly. And with the first film, I say, like, 85% of both the jokes and the emotional moments really hit bullseyes. Like, they're just done incredibly well. The second film probably goes down a bit, maybe like 75-80% of them work. This one's like 60 to 65% work. Now, with that said, there's a lot of comedies where, like, 10% work. You can, like, name the jokes you laughed on, like, 2 fingers. And that's not like this. There's a lot of jokes that work, and there's a lot of creativity. But a lot of them, for whatever reason, just were not hitting. And I think a big part of that is that the jokes did not seem as character-driven. There is still character in this, but it kind of seemed more like they have so many characters now where it kind of seems like, let's just fit in, as many as we can. And some of the lines they say don't even seem like lines a character would say. A couple big examples. I'm blanking on his name, but Mavis's husband is practically pointless throughout this film until the end, where they give him a little something to do, but you kind of forget he's even there. And he was like a major part of the first two movies. Some of the other characters, just they almost kind of blend together, like the Frankenstein monster and the Mummy and the Invisible Man. They all kind of seem like one character now. Like, they don't seem to have, like, very distinct separate identities. They're all kind of there to make some of these other jokes work or not work. But I'll get to my biggest problem with this movie, is that, as someone that loves animation, what I loved about the first two Hotel Transylvania films is that the animation did have a lot of energy to it, but every character had a distinct kind of movement. And I think there's a difference between a style and just doing the exact same thing for everybody. And in the first movie, if you compare how Dracula moves compare it to someone like how the Mummy moves. Dracula, he's very proper, he's upright, and usually like the upper half of his body is not doing much, but his lower half is doing something. Like he'll be hunched over like this, totally still, but the lower half will be going like this, or if he's like crouching through somewhere, or he's running, he'll like be like this, but his feet will be going like this, and you'll see the background zooming past him. Stuff like that is very distinct to how someone like a Mavis will move. Mavis will move, very feminine, very sleek, very smooth. Or the Frankenstein monster, he's very big, so he'll move very grand and very huge. Or the Mummy, they'll move, he's more round, so he'll move sort of with more curves and sort of this weird, distinct way. And I think there's definitely this way of moving that these movies have, where, characters will suddenly move very quick like this. And in the first two films, it was balanced out just enough. Here, every character moves like that all the time, and they all move the same. And I think the best example I can give you, it's actually in the trailer, is they're all gonna go scuba diving. And this shot's only for like a second, but I mean, it just kind of proves what I'm talking about. You have Mavis, her husband, Dracula, some other character, I can't remember who, but they got their scuba gear on, and they're all gonna go scuba diving. All of them walk the exact same way, and super exaggerated, and they're hunched over like this, they have their arms out like this, they're going like this, and their feet are going like that, and I guess the idea they're trying to do is like, well, when you have, scuba gear on, you're gonna walk a little weird, but all of them walk like how Mavis's husband would walk. Mavis wouldn't walk like that, Dracula wouldn't walk like that, and it's that style throughout the whole thing, and it's very distracting. When you just want to hear a joke, you just want to focus on what they're saying, but you're distracted by the fact that every single time they talk, it's always like this super William Shatner way that he does on Family Guy. It's that kind of movement throughout the whole thing. And, they introduce a new character who, again, this is in the trailer, is the great-granddaughter of Van Helsing, which is a great idea. That's very, very funny. And she just kind of moves like everyone else. I mean, here's a new character you introduce, and you can, give her a very distinct movement. Even the great-grandfather in this is kind of this weird robotic guy, and he has a distinct movement because he's this weird little robot, but even he kind of does the same movements the more I think about it. But she just kind of moves like how everyone else moves it, and I think one of the things that really drew me to the other films is that even though, again, they're not like phenomenally character driven, but I mean, that's still kind of the focus. Everyone has their own distinct identity and movement, and it's really all blending together here. And I think that's surprisingly what made a lot of those jokes work in the first two films. Even though not all of them work, it's still what gave it its charm. And I think that's kind of what's missing here. A lot of the charm is gone, and it's not replaced with comedy funny enough to fill that void. But with that said, there are still a few emotional moments. There are a few moments where it can slow down, and like Dracula. I like this idea that Dracula is looking for someone else to be with. He's looking, he's feeling lonely. And you see him try to go on a date. You see him try to be nice, but the person he's trying to date is trying to kill him. Like, this is a great idea. And they do take time to get a little emotional, to slow it down, and I like those moments, but there's not many. And a lot of it is just kind of replaced with this kind of generic slapstick that has, again, sometimes works, and sometimes they'll throw in like even a little surreal humor, like the two little kids in this, again, who feel very, underutilized, are trying to sneak in this gigantic dog, and the dog is just like, any other dog, with the tongue and barking and stuff like that, and when they have to sneak him in, they have him just in this big coat and a hat. And they say, this is Bob, say hi, Bob. And the dog suddenly just goes, hi, Bob, and walks in, and you have no idea how that's possible. Jokes like that are great, and there's a couple like that, and there's a couple just sort of bum jokes that work too, but like I said, it's very half and half, and when they don't work, it's not awful, you're really wishing it worked, because it worked so well in the other two films. And then we get to, this is the one super cringy moment in this movie, and sadly, it's in the climax, and it's supposed to be like the big moment of the movie, and it just, I don't know. The audience I saw it with was not feeling like was not laughing or anything, and I won't give away that everything about it, but pretty much the setup is it's kind of a musical climax where they have to use songs against each other, and one of them they have to come up with a way to do this. They need like a positive song, and they're playing all sorts of different songs and stuff, and finally they're building up, like they're actually building up to this one song at the end. They say, we really need something positive, just an incredible beat, an incredible song to defeat the evil negativity or whatever, so they're really building this up. And what's so funny is that there's so many other songs you could choose because they built it up so much that could probably get a laugh. The song they choose is baffling. Like, I'm amazed they went with this song. Because not only is it old, it's an older song, but it's not even old like in a retro kind of way. Like, people are like, oh yeah, I remember that. I want to get into that. Haha, you got me there. Like, okay, a good example like is in Beetlejuice when they sing Deo. You know, I mean, first of all, that's so bizarre and so out of nowhere, and it's already a timeless song, that it gets a laugh, and it's just so strange. It rides the strangeness of it. Where if they did like a more modern song at that time, I don't know if that would have worked. Here, it's like, it's not weird enough, it's not relevant enough, it's not funny enough, it's pretty much the most awkward song you could choose, in my opinion. And they do a whole big song and dance number around it, and everyone's just doing it not ironically. They're dancing like, yeah, this is good, and it's a real head scratcher, I'm not gonna lie. So that was like the one moment that was super cringy, where I just feel like, man, who made that choice? I'm wondering if, you know what, and maybe it's just kind of the older guy in me. I mean, maybe I just missed the joke, but when I saw it, everyone was just like, even when you heard the song start, like, you know, you hear the first few notes, you know what it's gonna be, and that, like, they're doing it like, haha, like, you should be laughing now, we play those first few notes, you know what this song is, and nobody was laughing. Nobody was really getting into it, so, yeah, I don't know if that just went over my head, or maybe it is really retro and this moment's gonna be a huge hit, but yeah, man, I wasn't feeling it. So with that said, do I regret seeing it? No, I'm still glad I saw it, because I like these movies, and I like showing support for these movies, especially when other critics don't for whatever reason. But this one, it's like I saw it once, probably won't see it again. I don't think I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray or anything like that. Like, I can watch those other two movies over and over and over. I'm glad I saw this one. You know, there's still a few jokes that work. I especially like it when the Wolfman and his wife drop off the kids at kind of like the daycare on the ship, and they've never had that before, and then you just see what they do with their spare time, and they're just so not used to not having kids, you know? So it's like, stuff like that is great, and again, that comes from their character. I think that's where that works. Any of the jokes that still come directly from the characters, I think, are usually pretty solid. Any jokes, you know, around the monster stuff is also okay, but any kind of just generic slapstick stuff, you know, just, oh, someone got hit so they can get hit or something, a lot of them just didn't hit. Funny enough, seeing how slapstick. But, okay, so what I recommended, if you like the first two films and you're curious enough, like, you know, if you like them enough that you feel like, I know it's not going to be that hot, but I like this world, I like these characters, I say still go check it out. You probably don't need to see it on the big screen, you can probably rent it, but I say go see it. It's not offensive. You know, there's definitely Adam Sandler films that are offensive. But yeah, this one, it's a serious downgrade, but that doesn't necessarily make it down here. It's not super bad. And like I said, I would not actually say it's, you know, I regret seeing it. I'm glad I did, but it is a downgrade. I'm not going to see it again. You can take your kids to see it, fine. There's a lot of slapstick and a lot of goofy stuff. Honestly, too much slapstick, in all honesty, but, you know, it doesn't really balance out. But Yeah, if you're looking for something to take your kids or your kids want to see it, it's totally fine. There's nothing ethically bad in it or anything like that. If you're an adult and you like the first two movies, you'll probably get enough laughs out of this, but you'll probably see what I'm talking about too. It is kind of a downgrade. So go check it out. Tell me what you think. Let me know if I'm just a pain in the ass who's just looking for things to complain about, or if it legit is kind of lower on the totem pole. So that's about it. I'll talk to you next time. Later.